The Galactic Coalition had a strict protocol for first contact: assess, observe, and then approach with caution. When their scouts discovered Earth, they were fascinated by the blue planet's biodiversity, but horrified by one particular aspect of its dominant species. Humans had internal skeletons. Dr. Jun Kim, a young xenobiologist at the Seoul Advanced Research Center, was preparing for another routine day when the sky above the facility darkened. A massive ship, unlike anything humanity had ever built, hovered silently over the complex. Rather than panic, Jun felt a surge of excitement. First contact was happening, and he was at ground zero. The aliens, calling themselves the Nuvari, revealed that most sentient species in the galaxy evolved from invertebrate ancestors: mollusks, insects, and other soft-bodied creatures. The concept of internal skeletal structures was not just alien to them, but deeply disturbing. Upon learning that humans had over 200 bones inside their bodies, many Nuvari delegates became physically ill. Ambassador Do, the cool-headed Korean diplomat assigned to the first contact team, noticed the aliens' discomfort whenever the topic of human anatomy arose. When a Nuvari scientist accidentally touched Jun's arm and felt the hard radius bone beneath his skin, the alien recoiled in terror, releasing a high-pitched shriek that shattered several glass containers in the lab. "Your species carries death within you," the trembling alien explained. "In our cultures, exposed bones are symbols of mortality and decay. The idea of living beings walking around with death frameworks inside them is profoundly unsettling." Despite this cultural barrier, Do saw an opportunity. If humans could overcome the aliens' instinctive revulsion, perhaps they could secure a unique position in the galactic community as the species that wasn't afraid of what terrified everyone else. Part 2. The Bone Crisis. 6 months after first contact, the galactic community faced an unprecedented threat. A predatory species known as the Vorg had begun attacking coalition outposts along the Orion Arm. These aggressive creatures used bone-like extrusions as weapons, exploiting the widespread bone phobia to induce paralyzing fear in their victims. Captain Mi Park of the newly commissioned Earth ship ESS Resilience received an urgent transmission from Coalition High Command. The Vorg had captured a critical medical research station in the Arcturus system. Coalition forces were too traumatized by the Vorg's bone weapons to mount an effective counterattack. "We need humans," the message stated bluntly. "You are the only species that can face them without succumbing to bone fear." Mai assembled a special team, including Tactical Officer Han, medical specialist Sun, and xenobiologist Jun Kim, who had become humanity's foremost expert on alien psychology. Their mission: infiltrate the station, rescue the researchers, and secure vital vaccine research that could save billions across the galaxy. Upon arrival, they discovered the station in disarray. The Vorg had decorated corridors with bone-like sculptures specifically designed to incapacitate any coalition forces that might attempt rescue, while their alien allies remained on the ship, unable to even look at camera feeds from inside the station. Mi's human team moved efficiently through the bone-laden halls. The Vorg were unprepared for enemies immune to their psychological warfare. When the first Vorg commander attempted to intimidate Mai by extending sharp bone protrusions from its forearms, she simply smiled. "Nice trick," she said, before stunning the creature with her pulse rifle. "But we humans live with scarier things inside us every day." As they fought deeper into the station, Sun made a critical discovery. The Vorg weren't naturally bone-armored predators. They were victims of genetic manipulation, their bodies painfully grafted with bone weapons by an unknown entity. The captured researchers had been developing a cure for the Vorg's condition, not a weapon against them. Part 3. Guardians of the Galaxy. 1 year after the successful Arcturus mission, humans had become integral members of the Galactic Coalition. Their unique immunity to bone fear made them perfect mediators, peacekeepers, and rescue specialists. Earth established a dedicated service branch, the Skeletal Response Division. trained specifically for missions that would traumatize other species. Admiral Jung Kim, promoted after his groundbreaking work on bone fear therapy, stood aboard the Coalition flagship alongside representatives from 17 species. They were gathered to address the galaxy's greatest mystery: who had weaponized the Vorg, and why were they trying to destabilize interspecies relations? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sun, now leading the joint human Nuveri medical team, had successfully reversed the bone modifications in several Vorg patients. One of them, finally free from pain and able to communicate, revealed the truth. They called themselves the Harbingers, the recovering Vorg explained. Ancient beings who believe that evolution must follow specific paths. They see internal skeletons as evolutionary dead ends, yet humans have thrived despite this flaw. Your existence challenges their fundamental beliefs. The Harbingers had been manipulating galactic evolution for millions of years, ensuring that bone-bearing species remained rare and isolated. Humans were an anomaly they hadn't detected until it was too late, a skeletal species that had achieved spaceflight before they could be corrected. When diplomatic attempts to contact the Harbingers failed, the Coalition prepared for conflict. Captain Meepark, now commanding the advanced dreadnought ESS Indomitable, led a fleet to the Harbinger homeworld, a planet of crystalline structures inhabited by beings who had abandoned physical bodies millennia ago. The final confrontation wasn't won through traditional warfare. Instead, Admiral Kim proposed a daring solution. Using modified medical technology, human volunteers temporarily had portions of their skeletons rendered visible through their skin. Not enough to harm them, but enough to create a terrifying spectacle for any bone-fearing species. This Bone Legion, led by Meepark herself, became the front line in negotiations. The Harbingers, faced with hundreds of humans proudly displaying the very structures they found abhorrent, were forced to reconsider their evolutionary prejudice. "We are not defined by what lies within our bodies," Mai declared during the historic first meeting, "but by what we choose to do with the life we have. Humans don't fear our bones because we understand they support us rather than limit us. Perhaps it's time for the galaxy to learn the same lesson." The Harbingers, ancient and set in their ways, required time to process this challenge to their worldview. But the seed was planted. Humanity had transformed the galaxy's greatest fear into its greatest strength, proving that sometimes the most terrifying things are simply the most misunderstood. As human and alien medical specialists worked together to help the remaining Borg victims, a new era dawned, one where humanity's unique perspective on mortality, supported by the very bones that others feared, made them the perfect guardians of a more tolerant galaxy. 6 months had passed since the Nuveri first came to Earth. Humans were now part of the Galactic Coalition. Ships from Earth visited other planets. Aliens came to Earth to trade and learn. Meepark sat in the captain's chair of her ship, the ESS Resilience. It was Earth's first real space warship. She looked at the message on her screen again and frowned. "Bad news, Captain," asked Han, her first officer. "Very bad," said Nye. "The Vorg are attacking again." The Vorg were scary aliens who used bones as weapons. They knew other aliens were afraid of bones, so they covered themselves with them. They attacked ships and stations, and everyone was too scared to fight back. "Coalition Command wants us to help," Mai said. "A medical station is under attack. Many doctors and sick people are trapped there." "Because we're not afraid of bones," said Han, nodding. "Exactly. We leave in 1 hour." Jung Kim joined their mission. He had become an expert on how aliens think. They also brought Sun, a medical doctor who could help the injured aliens. When they reached the medical station, they saw the problem right away. The Vorg had put bone decorations everywhere. The hallways were lined with scary bone shapes. For any other alien species, it was like walking into a nightmare. "The Nuveri guards couldn't even look at the security cameras," said June, reading the report. "They all got sick and ran away." Mai led her team into the station. The human soldiers weren't scared of the bones, but they were careful. The Vorg were still dangerous fighters. In the main hallway, they met their first Vorg. It was tall with rough skin, and bones stuck out from its arms and back. It made a loud noise when it saw the humans weren't afraid. "You should run away," it growled. "All run from the bone bearers." Mai raised her weapon. "We're humans. We have bones inside us. Your tricks don't scare us." The Vorg didn't know what to do. Its main weapon was fear, and these strange aliens weren't afraid. The humans moved through the station, fighting Vorg and saving trapped aliens. When they reached the main medical lab, Sun made a surprising discovery. "These Vorg aren't natural," she said, looking at a screen. "Someone put the bones on them. They're victims too." One Vorg was trapped under fallen equipment. Instead of fighting it, Sun helped it get free. The Vorg was confused. "Why help? I am enemy," it said in broken words. "You're a victim," said Sun. "Someone changed you, made you scary to others. The doctors here were working on a way to help you." The Vorg looked at its bone-covered arms. "The masters did this. They make us fight. They say all bone-inside creatures must die." "Who are these masters?" asked Mai. "They are old. Very old. They hate bone creatures. Say evolution wrong path." June looked excited. "That explains why there are so few species with internal skeletons in the galaxy. Someone has been stopping them." May helped the friendly Vorg stand up. "Well, they didn't stop humans. And now we can help you too." For the first time, the Vorg made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Strange bone-inside friends. Maybe hope for Vorg after all." The humans freed the medical station and saved many lives that day. But Mai knew this was just the beginning. Someone out in space hated humans just for having skeletons. A bigger fight was coming. 1 year later, things had changed. Humans were now important in the Galactic Coalition. They had a special team called the Bone Squad that helped in places where other aliens were too scared to go. June was now Admiral June. He stood on the bridge of the biggest coalition ship. Around him were aliens from 17 different worlds. They were planning how to deal with the masters, the mysterious beings who hated species with bones inside. "We found their home planet," said a Nuvera general. "But we cannot attack. It is covered in bone structures that would terrify our soldiers." May Park, now captain of the ESS Indomitable, Earth's most powerful ship, stepped forward. "Then humans will go, but not to fight, to talk." Dr. Sun had been working with Vorg who wanted to be free from their bone weapons. One of them, named Krav, was at the meeting. "The masters are very old," Krav said. "They believe only soft-bodied creatures should exist in the galaxy. For millions of years, they have stopped bone creatures from developing. Humans are the first to reach space before they could stop you." The plan was simple but risky. Humans would go to the Master's planet and try to talk peace. If that failed, they would fight. When the human ships reached the Master's planet, they saw amazing crystal buildings that looked like giant skeletons. The Masters themselves were floating lights inside crystal shells. "We come in peace," Mai said over the communication link. "We want to understand why you fear us." A deep voice answered, "Your kind is an error in evolution. Internal skeletons lead to aggression and war. You must be fixed or removed." Mai had expected this. She gave a signal, and 100 human volunteers stepped forward. They were wearing special suits that made their bones visible through their skin. Not enough to hurt them, but enough to look scary. The Master's lights flickered in shock. "We are not afraid of what we are," Mai said. "Bones support us. They don't control us. We can be peaceful or we can fight, just like any species. The choice is ours." June joined her. "You changed the Vorg and made them weapons. We're helping them change back, to be who they want to be. That's the difference between us. We give choices, you take them away." For a long time, the Masters were silent. Then one moved forward. "In all our long history, no bone creatures have stood before us without fear. You are Different than we predicted. All life is different, said Sun, who had come with them. That's what makes the galaxy beautiful. Slowly, the masters agreed to talk. They wouldn't change their beliefs quickly, but it was a start. They agreed to stop attacking bone creatures and to let the Vorg choose their own path. As the human ships headed home, Mai looked at the stars around them. It's strange, she said to June. All our lives, we never thought about our bones. They were just part of us. Now they make us special in the whole galaxy. June smiled. Sometimes our ordinary things can be extraordinary to others. That's a good lesson for everyone. The ESS Indomitable jumped to light speed, carrying home the humans who had turned the galaxy's greatest fear into its greatest hope.